Hello and welcome to this speedrunning tutorial for the 1983 ZX Spectrum platforming classic Manic Miner. I'm Ruffled Bricks, the current world record holder for speedrunning Manic Miner in the one loop category, as verified by speedrun.com. Although I am only one of two people who submitted a run so far. Part of the reason I want to do this tutorial is I think that Matthew Smith's Miner Willy games are very well made and very interesting platformers, both for their time and now. I'd like to see more people trying to speedrun these games because what they lack in flashy tricks and major glitches, they more than make up for in well-timed jumps, cycle navigation, just a general sense of danger, which I think makes them genuinely fun games to try and optimise. It's also very easy to get these games on emulator, and I particularly recommend a ZX Spectrum emulator called Fuse, which is what I use. I'll give out links to these below the video. The one loop category of speedrunning this game basically entails completing all 20 of the caverns once through. And in this tutorial I'm going to show you all of the strategies I have learnt for getting through each cavern as quickly as possible. Many of the levels I will offer at least two routes through the cavern. The fastest route that I know, which I'll refer to as the A strat, and a safer backup route in case the fastest route fails, which I will call the B strat. This is just so you've got fail-safes in the event that you end up doing Manic Miner as part of, say, a speedrun marathon. Please do bear in mind that the strats I'm going to show you are the fastest that I've uncovered so far, and that some of these may become less necessary or even obsolete if and when I discover faster ones. Also, please note that these strats are specifically aimed at the original ZX Spectrum version of the game, and may not be directly applicable to other versions, so if you're aware of any strats where that's the case, please do let me know in the comments. I recorded this tutorial live on my Twitch channel, and I've cut it up into several parts to make it slightly easier to digest. The first part will kick off by discussing some pre-game preparations, TLDR, just switch the music off, and some of the descriptions I'll be using of the positions and jumps that you'll need throughout the game. We'll then go through the first 4 caverns of the game, where I'll teach you the quickest way to avoid conveyor belt defying manic mining robots, skating penguins, rod hulls rejects, and the seals that time forgot. Finally, one quick word of advice: please ignore the big shoe next to Willy's lives in the bottom left hand corner of the screen. This just means I used the level select cheat in order to reset each room quickly so I could demonstrate the different tactics. I'll also give you a link to the level select cheat underneath the video should you want to practice any individual levels as and when. Alright, now that you're up to speed, let's get mining. So let's go into the game first of all. Now the first thing we're going to do before anything else is switch off the music. The music actually slows down the gameplay in this game. Now that we're in the game, I'm going to go through some of the terminology that I'm going to be using and some of the moves that we're going to be using in this game. For those of you who don't know, Willy has 3 jumps. He can jump vertically like this, he can jump rightwards like that, and he can also jump leftwards like that. So 3 jumps is all he's got, and you can't change direction during any of those jumps effectively. So once you've done that jump, that's it. You are tied to that particular mast. Willy has 4 standing positions. So you've got mid stride, mono leg, because it's got 1 leg, mid stride again, and then full stride, his widest position. These positions are going to be used for calibrating a lot of your jumps in this game. The position that you'll be in at the edge of every platform that you go to in this game is the full stride position, like that. When you get to that, that's how you know you're on the last pixel of the platform. So if I was to move left just 1 more pixel here, I'll fall off that platform. That basically is constant on every single platform in the game. I'm going to show you a few types of jump that we're going to do in this game. And the first one is what's called an edge jump. Now, as I was saying, if you're right on the edge of a platform here, there are going to be jumps in the game where you can only make it to the landing position that you want to land in by jumping from this position here, right? So if you do that jump there, that's what we call an edge jump. Now, edge jumps are pretty difficult to line up from a standing perspective, and actually from a running perspective probably a bit difficult as well, because if you see, you have to get it right on that 1 pixel at the end, otherwise you'll fall straight off. So the timing can be a bit difficult on those. Now, there is a tactic that you can use when you're learning how to do these jumps. It's what I like to call the Q jump. The way that jumping works in this game is that if you hold down the jump button like this, so I've got my finger on the jump button right now like that, and Willie just keeps jumping up and down. It's not one of those games where you have to keep pressing the jump button each time you want to jump. You can start a jump going like that and then just keep holding the jump button like that. Now, what this means is that you can actually, whilst holding jump, go between different types of jumps. So let's say I wanted to, like, I'm holding the jump button there. Now, if I was to then add in the right button, so that I'm walking right while I'm doing this jump, I will then start jumping to the right, like that. But I'll start jumping right immediately after I finish that vertical jump. And it's the same if you were going to do it the other way as well. Like if I'm jumping it this way, and then I press left, and I jump two across like that. The reason that's important is because you can do something called Q jumps, right? Which is if you want to jump from a specific pixel position, the easiest way you can do that is that you can basically hold jump for 2 jumps. The first jump will just be a vertical one, and then off the back of that vertical jump, you will then press the direction button that you want to go in, and that will lead you into the next jump smoothly. So jump up once, and then I want to do the edge jump, so I press left and I jump left like that. That is what I would call a Q jump followed by an edge jump. Not all of the strategies in this speed run you're going to have time to do a Q jump for. Some of the ones that I show you, you're going to have to do just from a static starting position. The way it tends to work is as long as you press the direction button and the jump button at exactly the same time, you should jump accordingly. My main advice for that, just practice that as much as possible, jumping from a static start like that, because you will need to learn how to do that in this game. Let's say you are jumping in one direction, right? So let's say you're jumping rightwards like that. Now, if you keep holding the jump button while you're doing that, but then press the opposite direction button, this will happen here. So we jump once, jump twice, and now I'm pressing left, and what happens there, you see, I jump on the spot, and then I start jumping in the left-hand direction instead. So that will happen anytime you turn whilst jumping in one direction like that. The next jump that you do will always be a vertical one with Willie facing the opposite direction. But that is a very useful thing that we're going to use in this game, and it's what I like to call, so if you were doing 3 jumps in a row and you did a turn as your second jump, I would call that a turning triple jump. You jump right, you turn left, and then you jump left like that, and that's a turning triple jump. There's going to be also turning double jumps where I just have you jump and then turn, jump like that. And in a couple of levels in this game, there's also the turning quintuple jump, where I'm going to have you do 5 jumps, which will involve a turn at some point in that jump sequence. And I will explain which of the jumps you will need to do that in as we go along. Let's talk about this first level, the Central Cavern. There's not really any particularly good speedrun tricks you can do for this level. You're not going to get it much quicker than 49 seconds. I think 49 seconds is probably the best you can get in this room. So, from the start, we're going to go from the bottom here and jump up onto this platform, jump up again up to here. And then I'm going to jump, I'm doing a turning triple jump here to get that first key. Now, that doesn't actually have to be a turning triple jump, that one. You can also just jump from here and then just jump right again, and that will get you the key as well. That's not pivotal, I just like doing the turning triple jump on this one. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to get to this side over here. We're going to end up jumping over this robot. And to get onto this platform here, you want to time your jump so that it is pretty much directly below this poisonous plant here. So that's where you need to, if you're about here, that will be a safe jump for you to get onto that platform. And then we're going to drop onto the conveyor belt and jump straight over the Manic mining robot over there, like so. Watch this. Next thing we're going to do is going to jump over these platforms here. Now, ideally, at the end of this conveyor belt, you're going to want to do this as an edge jump if you can. So what you want to do is you want to edge jump up to this platform here and do it as a turning double jump, meaning that you'll jump across and then turn right, jumping vertically on this one. So let's see if we get it or not. Right, so we got it. Okay, so that means that we're actually ahead of the cycle. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to grab this key, and then these ones over here. For this key here, you're going to want to jump at this stripe here on the platform, if you can see where my cursor is pointing. If you want to jump when you're just about midway across that, and that will ensure that you jump up here and grab it safely without hitting this stalactite here. And then with the next key, this one just under the stalactite here, you're going to want to jump when you're about directly under this stalactite here. So here we go. Get the one. And then we got the second one like that. For the third and fourth ones on this platform here, you notice there's 4 squares, effectively, that make up this these collapsing platforms here. You're going to want to do this jump right in the middle. So right between squares 2 and 3 in this. If you do that, you should land here, grabbing this key in the process. And then for this jump over to here, you again want to do that as centrally as possible between these 2 plants, because you want to get this key as part of the jump that you're doing over this plant. So let me show you that in action. So there's the jump, and there's the second one there, and we got both keys. There we are, in the course of 2 jumps. Because we're on good timing for this particular cavern, then this means that we're going to go back now down here to get towards the exit, which you can now see is flashing. Now, it may be that we've done this too quickly. And if it is, it means that when we get to this platform here, we may actually end up converging with this Manic mining robot here, which means that we could end up dying if we're too quickly. So let's see how this goes. So actually, I've had to recalibrate my position there, because if you notice, I jumped a little bit too far leftwards on that one and I almost hit that plant, which is why I actually adjusted my position there and I moved back before I did that second jump over. So that actually saves me from having to run into the Manic mining robot now. But last thing we're going to do in order to get out of this level is we're once again going to jump over the Manic mining robot, and we're going to drop down, and then we're going to head underneath the conveyor belt here, and we're going to position ourselves about here in the mid-stride position. And then when this robot is far enough to the left that we're not going to be hit by him, we can then jump over this plant. So let's see how that goes. So over the Manic mining robot, into position here, and we just had to wait like just a few frames there for the robot to move across, as you can see. But then there we go, basically. That is pretty much a solid 49 seconds central cavern run. Let's say that you don't quite get the edge jump in. So the first cycle is all fine as per, and then you're going over and jumping over the robot, and then actually you don't quite get the edge jump, so you turn and do the... What happens there is you turn that into a turning triple jump, like that. Because you've had to do an extra jump here, you're actually slightly behind the optimum cycle, which means that here, when you get to the Manic mining robot, as long as you've done all this quickly as well, then you can get pretty much a 49 or a 50 again, as long as you are really quick at this jump over the plant here. Because by the time you get there, the robot should be in the position where he's kind of out of the way. But let's see how we go. So we got the jumps in on here, then a jump midway through, and we got that in one again. And I just did a little recalibration again, just for safety. And as you see, we're slightly behind the cycle, so we're probably going to be here. There we are. I paused a little bit for safety there, but we weren't that far off the original cycle from what you saw when I did the first route there. It's just that for safety I had to kind of like back up a little bit. So that probably would have been like a 50 to 51 seconds I think on that. But that's basically about as good as you can get on the Central Cavern. So, the cold room. This one is only about 30 seconds if you get the optimum timing on this. Some Manic Miner players think it's better to get this item first and then get all the other items afterwards. Other players think it's better to get all these ones before that one and then you leave this one to last. It doesn't really matter that much if you're just doing a normal kind of route of this level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two B strats for the cold room, because there's actually two routes that you can take here that are pretty much equivalent time. Jump up onto the crumbling platform, then jump onto the conveyor belt to grab that first item, wait for the yellow penguin to get to about there, then do a turning triple jump like this, and jump over the yellow penguin like that. Grab this one from up here. Now, these, as you've probably guessed, are all collapsing platforms. Which means that if you drop down here and grab this item, you will then drop down continuously until you get to the bottom of this chute here. That's not a particularly fast way, so what you do is jump back out of the chute like that, and then drop down, grab this paddle, and then jump over the penguin, running into the wall in the process, and go into the exit. So that's one way of doing that particular route. The other route you can take through the cold room is as follows. So, go for the bottom item first, jump over the penguin from that position and grab it, and jump back up, jump onto the crumbling platform, get the item from the conveyor belt, and then do a turning triple jump up like this, and it should get you over the yellow penguin. You might need to recalibrate it depending on your position. Grab this item here, and then jump straight out again when you grab that one, but instead of going downwards, just jump straight into that chute on the right like that. And that will get you in pretty much the same speed as the other route would take you, although I personally think that route is slightly more fun. Those are the B strats. So what's the A strat? Basically, there is a little trick that you can do to speed up the first of those B strats that I showed you, the one where you end up grabbing this item last. Now, be forewarned, this includes probably one of the hardest single jumps in the game to get right consistently. You are going to need to be in this position here, right? Because this position here, that is the earliest that you can jump onto the crumbling platform there. So what you want to do is you want to do two jumps like that. So you want to jump from that position I showed you right onto the edge of the crumbling platform, and then immediately turn on the spot and jump back so that you end up on that conveyor belt there. But the way that you do that, if you're on the right pixel, you should actually grab that item as you land. Like, you shouldn't have to press left anymore in order to grab that item. And then once you've done that, you jump onto this platform here. Problem with that jump is, as you can see, right, you're having to hit that jump right out of the blocks within this level. So you are literally within the level for half a second before you need to hit that jump. So that does make it difficult. And on top of that, you've got issues like that can happen where you can end up falling off the platform as well because you haven't got the jump right. But what you want to do, when you get out to that platform there, you do a turning triple jump like this. And as you can see, you're quite close to the yellow penguin there. You're able to burn some pixels going to the right on this platform. Like, you don't have to turn immediately as you hit this. But when you do turn to do that jump, you need to pretty much jump immediately as you turn left. And the reason is you have a 2-frame window in order to get ahead of the yellow penguin when you do that. So there's the triple jump. The turning triple jump. Then we grab this item up here with the jump as per, drop down, jump back out, fall onto the crumbling platform, fall onto the normal platform, follow the blue penguin pretty close behind, and then jump over him like that and get to the exit. This position here for doing that jump over the penguin is demonstrably closer to the exit than the one that you were doing there. That said, that strategy saves you 1 second in the entire room. So if you didn't want to do that strategy, I could fully understand. But in terms of getting this room as optimum as possible, that is pretty much the fastest that you can get through the cold room, as far as I know. It's one of the hardest strats in the entire game, but if you can nail it, it's worth it. Let's say you mess up the jump. Let's say you jump just too early. So if you did it like that, you can very easily just go straight into the second B strat that I showed you. Because you're only 1 pixel behind your run in this level if you do that. So you're not losing really any substantial time at all. What about if you fall off like that? Well, you can go for this one, but you're not going to get the that paddle in on the bottom there in the first jump. So if you do end up falling off the platform like that, then you're probably best off going into the first B strat that I showed you, because it's easier to get into position from there in order to do that. And you don't really lose any time if you end up having to go through all that, because you'll end up at pretty much the same position again by the time you get to the bottom right. Let's say you overshoot your points here and you know for a fact you're not going to make that jump. Best thing to do, just pause on that platform there and then go into the first strat B that I showed you earlier. So you've got many different fail-safes in this if the quickest strat happens to go wrong, and it very likely will, because as I say, it's a very, you're less than half a second level before you have to hit that. So the Menagerie, I'm going to get myself into a safe position here first, because as you can see, this is the first level that you're in whereby if you lounge around in your starting position to begin with, you will actually get killed by one of the enemies. The Menagerie has a similar kind of mythos to the cold store, which is you have one item that ends up being first or last in the route, depending on who does it and their preferences. Unlike the cold store, I'd say it is actually pretty clear cut in this room. And I would say it's this item should be last in your route. This mezzanine up here, where you get basically the top 4 keys, you want to try and do this route with as little waiting as possible, given that it's a speed run. In my experience, if you get this key first, it's really difficult to find a cycle that doesn't contain a fair amount of waiting up here. So I'm going to show you a B strat first of all for this room. This involves a couple of little bits of waiting, but generally this will get you around the level pretty quickly. So here we go. So starting from the beginning, so we go over the green bird and then jump onto the platform and then jump up here, up the conveyor belt and onto these 2 platforms. Now what you want to do is we want to wait until this pink bird here, this flamingo, ends up directly under the pink spider here. So here it comes and go. Jump over him like that and then do this one as a vertical jump, not a right jump like we did with the first key. Do it as a vertical jump. And the reason you're doing that is because this is just to burn a few pixels while we wait for the red flamingo over here, the cockerel, whichever red bird you prefer, robin, it's all interchangeable. We wait for them to get back into a position far enough to the left where we can actually jump over them with a right jump. So doing this as a vertical jump will then mean that as we go along to get the final key, you can then get that as part of a jump over the red bird. Then you drop down onto that last key there and we go up to grab this floating one and boom. How do we speed that up? Well, this is going to require some pretty precise pixel jumps as we go around. Now the first one of those is going to be around here, from this position here. So you want to jump up to the platform here so that you're kind of only 2 or 3 pixels along it at most. All right, so you want to keep that as calibrated as you can. Then once you've done that, you're going to want to jump up these platforms from this pixel here. And the reason you're going to want to do that is because from this pixel here, if you hold jump for 3 jumps and just hold left, that gets you straight up those platforms, and that'll get you up there the furthest to the right in terms of your landing position that you can muster. So let's put this in action, right? If you do it like that, do the jump just above the A in Menagerie is the best place to do it. Turn around like that, and there's your mid-stride jump there, up the 3 platforms. Now, what this means is we can immediately turn right, and then this first square of crumbling platform here, provided that we jump to the right when we are about midway or just slightly on the right-hand side of that square, we should get over the pink flamingo, grabbing this key in the process. So here we go. Like that. And this means we can do a right jump on here. And again here. And notice we are quite close now to the red bird in this cycle. And what this means is that if we walk over to this crumbling platform here and just stand on it, we actually fall down onto that platform before the red bird hits us. And then all that happens there is you end up just doing the last 2 keys as you would before. But that saves you a couple of seconds in the route for this level. I forgot to record an example of all these moves put together in one go on this stream, so here's one I made elsewhere. Bum bam, bum bam, bum bam 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 bam, and thank you very much. This is the easiest level in the game by far, because there's no cycles that you need to worry about at all. Like, the only enemies you've got are these 2 seals down here, and you're not going to be going anywhere near them. So from the beginning here, go under the spider, jump left, right, left, and then left to grab the first key. Jump across to this platform, jump onto this conveyor belt, and then jump back up to here, and then jump twice, 3 times to get up to that key there. Now, a lot of Manic Miner players tend to do this jump to this platform by dropping down onto the crumbling platforms here and walking across to the right and then doing the jump. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is do it as a jump from that same platform like that. It's not pixel perfect, that it's, you got 2 pixels at towards the right edge of the platform where you can make that jump across, but it just saves you maybe about, like, you know, a fraction of a second dropping down than just jumping straight across like that. Everything else is pretty much as you'd expect. You drop down here, jump across, up to grab this key, hold, jump twice to get across here, and then just jump back to grab that last key, and boom. It's literally nothing special about that level whatsoever. It's just get around the platforms as quickly as you can. So that was part 1 of my Manic Miner tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments if you found this helpful, or if there's any part of the tutorial you felt I could have explained better. On the next instalment, we'll be tackling the next few levels of the game, including the seminal and dreaded Eugene's Lair. This video is over.